Hi, I'm Danielle, and I just thought I'd pop on and share about my weekend. I just got back yesterday from no, I'm sorry, I got back Monday from a CE5 conference that was held by Dr. Steven Greer. It was in Temecula, California, so it was a 2 hour drive, but really I had gone through Los Angeles, so it was longer because of traffic. So to start off the event, I was really excited to be there, but there was a couple of snafus, I want to say, with the coordinating and planning. The first one was that the chairs were, it was like they were designed by somebody who makes torture devices. They were so uncomfortable. So with the days being 2 hour lecture after 2 hour lecture after 2 hour lecture, and then a night 4 hour meditations with the same chairs, that's like 10 hours of sitting in these chairs for 2 days in a row. They were pretty horrible. And I have to say, I quickly just moved to sitting on the floor. And at the meditation, I laid on the grass. So I think for the meditation, possibly having some areas of blankets instead of chairs would have been really good. The other thing was the air conditioning. We were at a winery, and the event took place in the barrel room. So I guess they told him that it would be air conditioned, but it wasn't the first night. Apparently, it was very warm. I didn't go to the first night. Um, the other days, they wheeled in some portable air conditioning units that helped, I would say. But also the bathrooms. There was like literally, I want to say there was eight separate stalls. I didn't go in the men's room. The ladies' room had four, so I'm going to assume that the men's room had four. And there was about 500 people in attendance, and the winery was still open. So there were like bridal showers and parties happening there, also using the bathroom. So when you've got 500 people having a 30-minute break between two-hour lectures, everyone's going to hit the bathroom, right? Um, the third thing, which was kind of funny, was that the winery across the street, the first night of the meditation, they had a jazz band playing outside that was pretty loud, definitely amplified. And our meditation was supposed to start, I believe, at 8 o'clock. We could enter around 7:20 and start getting seated for that. Uh, the party, the party across the street was going on till 10 p.m. So Dr. Greer said he wasn't going to compete with all that noise, and so he just told stories for 2 hours before we could start meditating at 10 p.m. So that was a little bit of a like, you know, the people, and I'll say we paid $700 each to be there unless you bought a VIP pass, which was $1,700. So I don't know what people were paying at the event across the street to drink wine and listen to jazz music, or if they were paying cover charge at all. I have no idea. But that would have been a good thing to kind of know when whoever planned that event. Aside from that, the lectures, there was some interesting lectures going on throughout the 2 days. I was I was kind of excited to hear from Lori Williams. She's the author of a book called Boundless. She did a lecture on controlled remote viewing. I'll include her website if, in case anyone wants to check her out. Um, but she teaches through this her lessons how to have more cooperation between your conscious and unconscious mind, with the idea that your conscious mind is a small part actually, but it's not psychic at all, and it wants to run the show. Like it's trying to drive the car all day. Our unconscious mind is very, very intuitive, very psychic, and yet the non-psychic part is always trying to kind of control the, the readings. So it's, you know, it was kind of learning how to not be mean to your own conscious self, like to be nice to it and cooperate with it, but let's have the unconscious part do the reading, you know? Anyways, apparently, the government and law enforcement, they use this form of remote viewing, and she was saying that she had accuracy rating. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the high end was about 95%. So, remote viewing, which is what I do, is more relaxed, with freestyle visuals, and you get channeled messages. Controlled remote viewing, there's like written structure that's uniformity. There's uniformity, where you fill out your paper the same kind of every time. And doing this with the paperwork and stuff apparently redirects your emotions with the structure, and the structure keeps the non-psychic conscious mind busy, so it's not kind of butting into the reading. So it was interesting, and I could see that, it's something I should probably look into more, because I do this more, freestyle visuals. She had us writing on these papers, like she had us actually trying to do controlled remote viewing at the very end. There was like 5 minutes total, allotted for that. But um, yeah, we weren't allowed to close our eyes at all. Like she said, no, if you close your eyes, then your imagination starts getting involved. I I literally close my eyes and I meditate and go into, and probably go on a body. That's what I'm doing, as opposed to remote viewing, but I don't feel like my imagination is what I'm seeing, you know. Although your imagination can steer you to what you're going to look at. So that was really interesting. Let's see. The things that I did learn, well, that was one thing I learned about. I didn't know that it would be like that at all, controlled remote viewing. The other things I learned, because Dr. Greer did talk, he did 4-hour lectures on Saturday and Sunday, and whatever he may have said at the meditation, which was another 4 hours. There was another lecture on Sunday morning. It was 2 hours, and it was about cameras. And I didn't go, mainly because the chairs, were too painful. And also, I wasn't planning to probably spend thousands of dollars to take pictures of, I don't know. That's just not my thing. I like to draw. But what I did learn was, I I've seen all Dr. Greer's movies, and I don't believe that he says that he's had ET experiences since he was young in those movies. He always talks very kind of official, and because he's always talking about whistleblowers and his contacts in the government and what he's doing to disclose information, right? I don't know that he really talks about his personal ET experiences in the movies. I don't remember. And if anyone remembers him saying that stuff, like, definitely correct me, because I just don't remember him ever saying it. I believe he mentioned that he had a Kundalini awakening when he was in his late teens. He practices India yogic and meditations to increase siddhis, which is spelled Siddhis, which is the Indian word for supernatural abilities. And he starts his meditations every time with a Sanskrit puja, which was lighting incense and saying, he was kind of singing these, I, you know, I don't know, it was in another language. So he starts his meditations doing that. And I don't know, it was kind of, what does it bring to the event? I kind of liked that there was a ceremony aspect to, his CE5 event. Another thing he said during the weekend was that he was marooned here on Earth by his space family. So he definitely is very tied to being, from another planet, obviously. He goes out of body. I don't think that he says that in any of his movies, and travels to visit ETs with his remote viewing. He does the method I do, which is going into a meditative state. Now, another thing that I'm not sure that we ever notice about him in his movies is that he's funny. He tells a lot of stories, and they're pretty funny, and he does kind of crack little jokes and stuff. So that was a pleasant surprise to learn about Dr. Greer. So while I was there the first night on Saturday night, he did the Sanskrit puja ceremony. He talks us into trying to relax and whatnot. Now, trying to meditate with 500 people is a bit difficult. And of course, like I said, we had to wait 2 hours for this party to end across the street. So by then, it got to be like 60 degrees. I was wearing flip-flops. My feet were pretty cold, and I'm laying on the grass. A couple next to me were eating snacks, and their food bag was rumbling. And then the husband started snoring. So here we are trying to meditate and go into kind of a deep state when there's like all this noise from the other attendees of the event. Made it a little difficult. I did, however, with my third eye, without going very deep into a meditation, I saw there a round craft was right above the group. Um, I remote viewed with my third eye. I saw humanoids, a lot of them. I saw a lot of women and children, and asked them if they were Earth humans, and they shook their head no. I asked if they were Palladian, and they said no again. So actually, the next night, I saw the humanoids again, and I asked them if they were Yael, and they said yes to that. So I believe we had some Yael visiting us for the 2 nights. After I opened my eyes, I was trying to notice what I could see with my eyes open, because when that energy is pretty high because of the crafts are around, you can see, well, I have seen energy with my eyes open. And so then I was noticing this flickering, like black triangle happening to my left. So not right over us, but right over the vineyard. I saw it was kind of flickering, and it was getting my attention. So I looked with my third eye in that direction, and I'll show you what I saw. I will share the screen. Actually, first I'm going to show you, this is the barrel room that we had our seminars, our lectures in with Dr. Greer. This is when he started talking. I had already moved to sitting on the floor at this point because my back was killing me after the 2 hours with Lori Williams. I'm sorry to bring it up again, the chairs, but it really was something. I mean, for that many hours, it was really something. But so I was sitting on the floor leaning against barrels at this point. And so here's Dr. Greer talking. He had his monitors, he had a laser pointer, he was, sharing some information that I think he's said in some of his movies before. So the black triangle, I saw a being that looked like this. It's hard to render. The bulbous part of his head was kind of to the back of his head, and then he had, it was almost triangular. His face reminded me in structure a little bit of a reptile, or a cross between a reptile and a bird. And I don't know why. I know birds are what, descendants of the reptiles or dinosaurs. I believe that's a theory. Maybe that's why. He was sort of ivory colored or bone colored. I really got the feeling that this is part of Greer's like family line. I really felt like that he was connected to this being that I was getting, was from the Andromeda area. Now, I know that's a big area, and that'd be like saying, we're from the Milky Way area, and I totally get that, you know. But since we don't really know the names of all the planets over there and the planetary systems over there, how can I be more specific? We at least know that section of space. So that is what I drew. I added, and you might not be able to see it on your screen, but I added this triangular craft up in the top corner. Oh, and I added the green laser because Greer would point out different constellations and stars. And every time a satellite went by, we saw tons of shooting stars, and we saw the space station go by. Tons of satellites went by. So he would point with the laser, and somebody on his team would have a flight tracker open and another person had the satellite tracker, so we could know what was satellite, what was flight, what was not either of those things. So that's pretty cool. So I added the little laser in the background. So I had drawn that on Sunday morning, and I went to the meditation, and I ran into a couple that had flown in from DC, and they asked me if I had seen anything on Saturday night, and I said yeah, and I drew it, and I talked about that little triangular craft I saw, and I said it had rounded corners and bubbles like underneath. I think they were for viewing, and in fact, I talked to Michael Shaman about it, and he said it was so they could look through the bubbles, like down at Earth. So that's pretty cool. So, anyways, I was telling the couple, and the man's eyes got like boom, and he said that that night he had a lucid dream about a triangular black craft with rounded corners and bubbles underneath. So I feel like we confirmed each other a little bit, and so did Michael Shaman. So, anyways, I just wanted to share about that. I feel like it was cool to go to the event, and do one. Um, I I don't think I'll probably go to another one like that. I'll probably just, you could also pay $99 and watch it live on a webinar, um, or join live and meditate with the whole group, from wherever you are in the world, which is pretty cool because, the more people that meditate, and visualize, Dr. Greer, he had us visualizing kind of a positive outcome for us humans on Earth. And I just think that the more people that can join in and do that at the same time, uh, I think that can only be positive. It can only have a positive outcome for us. I know he selects pretty much one day a week to do kind of around the world meditations. And I think he should do them live. I think that's something that he should do, and, maybe sell passes for, and, let more people sort of chip in on his disclosure projects that way, and kind of be involved around the world with him. I think that's a good idea. Anyways, I think anyone else who has CE5 experiences, whether they went to one with Greer or they used the app, which I also have done, and that's what I do is I use the app. Um, I'd love to hear about your experiences, and drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear more. All right. Anyways, thank you for checking this out, and I hope everyone has a beautiful day.